In this lesson, we will refactor the code from the previous lesson using React to achieve the same result, displaying Hello React inside the div container in the root div of the web page. Some of you might already know that React creatively uses a feature called JSX, which allows you to intuitively and efficiently describe the user interface. However, in this lesson, I won't immediately dive into JSX. This might cause a gap in your knowledge, as you could learn JSX and start using it without fully understanding why it's used in that way. So let's slow down a bit. It's important to take things step by step at the beginning of learning something new. We will gradually transition from vanilla JavaScript to JSX and get a glimpse of its underlying principles. Alright, let's begin. When learning JavaScript, you've probably encountered the script tag for importing external JavaScript libraries. Similarly, if we want to use React in the browser, we can load it in this way too. To use this way, we need to import two libraries, React for creating React elements and React DOM client for rendering the UI in the browser. Before React19, Universal Module Definition, aka UMD, was widely used as a convenient way to load React without a build step. For example, you could write something like this. However, with React19, things have changed. React19 no longer provides UMD builds, so now you need to use the modern ESM module format that's supported by browsers. We can use an ESM-supported CDN like ESM.sh to import the libraries. The official React website provides CDN links for these two libraries, and I'll put those links in the description below the video for your convenience. The official React recommended method is as follows. Step 1. Set the type of the script tag to module. Step 2. Use import to load the React and React DOM client modules from the ESM CDN. Of course, you could also download these two modules and store them locally, then link them to the code. But for this lesson, I'll directly import React and React DOM client from the CDN. Once imported, we can use the features provided by these two libraries to refactor our code. This time, we'll use two classic React APIs, createElement and createRoot. createElement can replace JavaScript's document createElement and allows you to create a React virtual DOM, which we will discuss in the future lessons. Its syntax is this. The first parameter is the type, which must be a valid React component type. For now, think of it as an HTML element like div or span. The second parameter is props, which must be an object or noun. If you pass noun, it will be treated as an empty object. React will create an element with the passed props. The third parameter is children, which refers to the content inside the element. It can be strings, numbers, or other React virtual DOM, etc. Now, let's refactor the code using these two React APIs. Instead of using a JavaScript document createElement, we'll use React createElement. The first parameter is the type, which we will give it a div this time. The second parameter is the props, which we don't need here this time, so we pass noun, or an empty object. The third parameter is the content, which is the text Hello React. At this point, you might notice that the page doesn't display Hello React as expected. Instead, you see something strange. Why is that? This is because the element you created is no longer the original DOM element. Although it shares the same name, it's not the same thing. To make a comparison, let me remove the previous comment. Then change the name of the new element to createElement, and use console log to print both elements for comparison. It's clear that they are very different. The first one is just a simple DOM node, the real DOM, while the second one is createElement object. It's a virtual DOM. Once again, we will discuss in the future lessons, probably after 2 lessons. So it no longer has real DOM properties like text content, inner HTML, inner text, etc. So how do we render this React element? Here comes our second API of this lesson, the createRoot API. createRoot lets you to create a root to display React components inside the browser DOM node. In other words, it creates a React root instance that serves as the entry point for managing and rendering React components into the real DOM. After you've created a root, you need to call one of the React root methods, that is render, to render a React component inside of it. So here we use createRoot to create a React root instance. And then use render method to render the React element object inside the React root instance. It sounds a bit awkward. Take a moment to understand it carefully. Now, you should immediately see the result on the page. It looks exactly the same as the previous lesson. Finally, let me mention that the code here can be further optimized for better readability. First, we can destructuring the createElement and createRoot logic so that if we need to use these APIs multiple times, we don't have to repeat React and the React DOM client every time. Next, we can extract the React root into a separate variable to make the code cleaner and more readable. Perfect. Okay, that's it for this lesson. In the next lesson, we will keep going, discussing the drawbacks of this approach and how JSX can resolve these issues. Then you will know why in our daily development we always use JSX.